Okay, so I want to start coding something that should be helpful for games, right? So the idea here is to demonstrate writing to a file. You guys buy that would be useful? Okay, so in order to write to a file, first I need something to write to a file. Being lazy, I'm going to create a random something to write into a file. You guys all with me? How do you want to do that? Do you want me to just hard code some random mishmash and then show you how to write it to a file, or should we use processing to generate something random? Your choice. Show of hands for random mishmash? Okay, so random mishmash wins out. So what kind of variable do I want to store that in?
Float.
No. No. String. I'm going to make myself a string that I'm going to call word1. And let's see, how do I write into a string? Yeah, you need quotes, semicolon, and here is random mishmash. There's a space in there. Cool, perfect. All right, everybody buys I got random mishmash?
Yes.
Okay.
Clearly planned.
Clearly planned. All right, now I would like to save this to a text file. How do you go about figuring how to do a task you've never done before? Yeah, go to the API and look. So.
You export as a GIF?
Is a what?
As a GIF?
That's it.
Why?
Yes, you can certainly export a series of images as a GIF or GIF, however you say that word.
It's not giraffe.
Okay, anyway. Yes, you can import a series of things as a GIF. It is, generally speaking, a little more complicated than text files. So let me show you text files, and then maybe we'll see if we can make a GIF. All right, so processing. Oh gosh, spelling's hard. Processing.org. And then I want text file? Oh, save strings. That looks like a thing. Write strings to a file, each on a separate line. Okay, that seems chill. Probably just go back in here and do save strings, parentheses, semicolon. What kind of thing is save strings now?
A function.
Yeah, it's a processing says it's a function. It's lying to you. It's really a method, but whatever. Okay, so what does it want to take?
Two strings.
It says it needs 2 strings. If I go back to the API, it says that the first one looks like a file name, and the second one looks like the stuff you want to write. So file name, file.text, comma, and then I'm supposed to put in the thing I wanted to write, yeah? Word1. Whoops. Why is it whining?
Brackets in there as well.
It's saying something about brackets here. Yeah, it doesn't know how to write one string. It knows how to write a string array. So I need to make a string array. Word, I guess. How do you make a string array?
Brackets. Curly braces.
Curly braces will work. So this is an empty string array, right? And then how do I add this to the string array?
Words equals.
Words.
Wait, no, it needs to be its own variable.
I think I could maybe do this. I just say I want in the 0 spot this thing.
Okay, yeah.
And then this is going to be words that needs to get printed. Now, this is probably going to shout at me.
Yeah,
You see?
Array, but it's still big, right?
Out of bounds exception 0.
Wait.
It's
LOL
no.
what?
Right now it's like no. Not even like 0.
Yeah. Okay, so right up here, I declared a string array words that didn't contain anything. So how many slots does that list have in it?
-1.
It has no slots in it. We could ask it. Actually, let's do a little debugging practice, right? Because we were going to debug anyway. So if I want to debug this out of line or out of bounds exception, I might print out words dot length. So what that's doing is that's getting the length attribute out of the words array object. You guys see that? So if I run this, oh, it's still going to whine about out of bounds. Oh, but it's saying that it's 0 long. Stop. Stop doing that. Okay, so let me comment out my out of bounds exception. Down here, 0. My array is 0 long. That means it does not have a 0 slot. If it had a 0 slot, it would be how long? 1 long. Okay, see that? That is mega, mega annoying. I was allowed to create an empty variable. That does happen. If you don't initialize it, it's going to yell at you even worse. Local variable words hasn't been initialized, whatever. Local variable, oh. Well, that's annoying. You guys see that?
Yeah. If you just
So,
if you put the Zron stuff in the
the Zerods.
How would you pronounce that?
Yeah, so one thing you could do is you could do this. But now it's whining about the local variable words hasn't been initialized,
No, I mean,
right?
like,
Oh, you mean I could do this. I could initialize it as this crap.
yeah. That definitely doesn't cause problems that well.
Okay, solid plan. We could initialize it as Zerod or whatever. If I hit go, I expect this to tell me that the array is 1 long. And do I expect it to write to a file?
No.
No, why not?
Say commented it out.
Oh, because I commented the write to a file part out. Okay, so... Okay, so now I think it did 3 things. It should have done print the length of the words array in the console. It did that. It made a new window. Why did it make this little window?
That's the way processing is.
Because that's the way processing is. Good. And then what else did I expect it to do?
Text file. Words, strings that.
Yeah, I expected it to save to this text file, file.txt. Did that file exist before I pushed go? No. Does it exist now?
Yep.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. It is, depending on the language, it is a little possible that it might shout at you that that file doesn't exist. If that file doesn't exist, what do you need to do?
Create.
Yeah, you probably need some other function or method to create that file before you write on it. Does that make sense? Depending on the language, again, most of the higher level languages, if you tell it to write somewhere, it'll go ahead and do that, and it'll just make the file in the process. Okay? Let's see, how do I check? Where do I need to go?
You need to open its source code.
Yeah, I need to open where it is. So that thing is in here. Oh, look, there's a file. It's a text document.
Well, we didn't see that before you ran the program, so you might have just typed the exact same thing in it before to trick us.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I probably did trick you.
Is it typing in Comic Sans?
I have no idea.
It looks like it's in Comic
Oh, that's a troll.
It is apparently in console us, whatever that is. Okay. Anyway, point is, this is how you save to a text file. So you can use this to make save game files, but you need to also know how to load.
Actually,
Yeah.
meaningful question. What if your save game stuff is a combination of strings, ints, floats?
Then you'll want to put them all into the string array
Oh dear.
and then typecast them back.
Oh no.
Why?
I regret everything.
Because unfortunately, the text file is unable to store file or variable typing information, right? So the only thing that text file is going to be is a list of strings.
Okay.
If you want to write a couple lines, how do you write a couple lines?
Probably more string variables instead of string.
Yeah, instead of your string array that consists of one thing, right? You might want like player name and
Player help.
score, right? And this is going to be a little dorky here. Why would this be a particularly dorky implementation of this? Okay, let's try this. If I had up here a string player name, right, equals Joe. Oops. Why is it shouting at me? Yeah, because Joe's right now a variable. So I put it in quotes. Okay, and then I tell it to do this and go ahead and write into the file.
This is not used.
Yeah, it's just gonna.
Yeah, so why is it whining about it's not used? It's right there.
That's a string on a variable.
Yeah, this Gahidget here is a string, right? That looks like the variable name, but is not actually the variable name because it's forced to be a string by the quotes.
To get rid of those.
Yeah, so if you want to pass that, you'd have to get rid of the quotes. You guys see that? Okay, and then if I had here an integer score equals 1,000,000, whatever, a lot. One with a lot of zeros. What do I expect this to write on the file?
You need a
Joe,
the thing.
Joe, and then you line score.
Well, no.
Yeah.
You need
Joe and then score. Crud. How do I get it to take that variable?
Get rid of the bolts again.
Get rid of the quotes. What is a very good possibility here?
It's not going to take that integer.
Yeah, it's not going to do it because it's not a string, so what do you need to do? Yeah, you need to typecast it to be a string, right? So if you're going to force it to be a string, let me go look. Processing typecast to string. Oh, good.
STR.
Yeah, of course it's not string, right? Because that would be too easy. You guys see, like, that would be the obvious try. I think you would maybe try this. Okay, the function string doesn't exist. How about string with a little s? Doesn't exist. Yeah, it's str is the typecast to string.
That's stupid.
That does seem a little bit funky. I'm not quite sure why. Boom. Okay, so it says it's too long. If I go in here and check. Cool. Please note, if you change this and then resave, Notepad does not automatically update. Is this what's in the file right now? No, this is an old version of file that's loaded. If I try to close this, oh, well, it didn't even, yeah. So if I close it and open it again, I'll see the update.
Is it in the memory? Is that why it kept it?
Yeah, that's a part of Windows, right? So that's what it contained when Windows opened it, and so that's what's cached. And then it's not dynamically reading the update. Some programs dynamically update, others don't.
That's why you should use Notepad++.
Some editors will lock a file so that you can't write on it. So in here, when you run, it's possible you'll get a cannot access file. And what that's about is that's the program that you have it open in is saying, I'm going to put a lock on this so you don't change it while I'm looking at it. Adobe Reader, for instance, is obnoxious about locking files. So some programs lock files, some programs automatically update, some don't do either. Notepad is really simple. It doesn't do either. So you need to close it and refresh it. How do you get what's in there out?
Probably both things.
So let me see. So I'm just going to comment all the stuff that I used to write to the file out. You see that? So all the stuff. Now I'd like to get at what's in the file.
Probably a load file.
Yeah, probably load strings. Right? Like save strings, load strings.
That's too easy.
Those seem like they would kind of make sense together.
TXT.
Oh yeah. TXT. Why isn't it shouting at me?
Seems like
You guys see that?
Seems like it's okay.
It seems like it's working. I really kind of expected it to take a second argument, right? Why doesn't it need a second argument?
So you're just loading everything up.
Yeah, because you're just loading all the stuff that's in the file. Where is it going, though?
No.
I don't know. Nowhere, everywhere, somewhere. I don't know. How would I figure it out?
Internet.
Go in here.
Some form of print.
Yeah, some form of print would be probably a solid plan. Oh, that's a method that has a return type.
Oh gosh.
You guys see that? Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's not going to tell me explicitly that it has. Oh, there we go. Reads the contents of a file and creates a string array of its individual lines. That is, this method has a return type. That return type is a string array. You guys see that? So, in order to capitalize upon my newfound knowledge, I need to go in here and get a string array from somewhere. Oh, I had one. I'm going to use this one. And I'm not going to initialize. So let me... So if I just don't initialize this, now it's going to tell me that the local variable words is not used. So let me do this. Words. That seems like a strange... You guys see that? That seems like a strange statement. The local variable of the word,
Well, isn't you-
the value of words isn't used, but then I'm initializing it right here. Why isn't it used?
It hasn't loaded yet.
You're just initializing it. You're not using it.
Yeah, you're just initializing it, dude. You're using it as a cache, but you're not doing anything with that. Right? So it isn't actually used. It's declared and initialized. If I want to use it, what do I want to use it for?
Print line.
Yeah, I want to get at that information somehow, right? So maybe I'll print line. What do you want to print out?
Words.
Words, like this? Whoa.
Oh god.
Type string of the last argument to method print line of object does not match the vararg parameter type cast object to what in the heck? What's up with that?
The non-variance invocation.
What is up? What am I trying to print that it's whining so heavily about? What'd you try to print?
An array.
Yeah, you tried to print an array. Is this how you print an array?
I
No.
guess not.
No. Yeah, you need a loop, right? So in order to print an array, you need for what? Int I equals 0, semicolon,
I is less than words dot length.
I is smaller than words dot length, semicolon. What?
It doesn't need parentheses.
It does not need parentheses. Length is a property that an array has, not a method that an
Well, that
array
explains a
has.
lot.
I plus plus. Yeah, so understanding that distinction is a little bit funky, right? So this words.length thing, if I had a class, like let me grab I was fiddling with this earlier. So I've got a class, right? That's really what that array is, right? An array is kind of an object. And that thing has a length variable up here, not a length method down here. Okay. Back. All right, so it's still whining at me about this whole blah, blah, blah. So what do I need to print?
You brackets
Yeah, I need brackets. I need to tell it which thing out of words I want to print
and I.
and to put an I in there. You guys with that? So that's going to loop through the words array and print out the 0th thing, print out the first thing, print out the second thing, each on their own line. So I'm hoping that this prints out Joe and what was the last score I had in there? 10. Sick! Victory is mine. Keep in mind those are string types, right? So if you are using this as a save game file, you'll need to typecast them back, right? But you can certainly do this. So here I hope you have a little demo for writing and a little demo for reading. You guys all good with those?
What if you had a turn in between Joe and Demo?
What if you had a what now?
Just an enter, like a return. Space.
Oh, in the...
In the actual notepad.
It does have a carriage return in between these.
I know, but what if it was a character return between Joe and like an empty
Oh.
line?
An empty line?
What would it print?
Good question. Okay, so I saved the file with an empty line in it. My guess is that it will print Joe empty string 10.
That's my thing.
Yep. So it's going to read empty lines as empty strings because reasons. Really, because that's what you're telling it to do, right? It's actually pretty good at this. And please note, it's reading that as an empty string, not as a null pointer. So what's the difference between a null pointer and having nothing?
No point in break.
Yeah,
Nothing
it-
is something that happens to not have any
Yeah.
dimension.
Nothing is a string that's empty, and null is a spot in the memory that doesn't have anything written to it. You guys see that?
No exists.
Yeah. Null is a thing the computer doesn't know how to read usually. What that means is that you haven't usually initialized a variable or something. That happens more in languages where you have more access to the memory. Processing is a pretty high-level language that doesn't let you have a lot of micromanaging access to memory.
C++.
C++ is, the C family is notorious for having null pointer exceptions because they allow you to have lots of access to the memory, which makes them really powerful. You can write programs that are hella efficient with all that access to the memory, but you pay a price for that, which is your debugging gets insane. Cool? Every language has things it does well and poorly, and processing's thing is that it does drawing really well, right? It does not do memory management very well.
So does the whitespace language have something it does well?
Yeah, the whitespace language is really good for screwing with people's brains. For the record, whitespace is a language where each line only has spaces or tabs in it, and the amount of spaces and tabs make the program do things. It's horrible. Don't.